Today you will need your math books. Before we jump into geometry, we have to know how to name shapes. And today we're going to start with triangles. There are 3 different ways that we can name triangles. The first way we can name triangles is by using the length of their sides. These 3 definitions should already be on your note cards. However, if they are not, make sure that you get them down. The first is an equilateral. We can see here that an equilateral has 3 congruent sides. Each side of this triangle is 3 inches. The next way we can determine is figuring out if it's an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle has 2 congruent or equal sides. In this case, this triangle, both sides are 3 inches, so it is isosceles. The final way we can determine is if it is a scalene triangle, which means it has 0 congruent sides. None of the sides are equal. Equilateral has 3 congruent sides, isosceles has 2, and scalene has 0. You will need to know this information in order to classify triangles. The other way we can classify triangles is by using their angles. The first way is if it is a right angle. Right angles have one 90-degree or right angle. That one's pretty easy to remember. An acute triangle has 3 acute angles, or angles that are less than 90 degrees. You see here, this one has 30 degrees, 75 degrees, and 75 degrees. All of these angles are less than 90. The last way is figuring out if it's an obtuse angle. Obtuse triangles have one obtuse angle, or one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. Let's practice a few problems together. Let's first determine what type of triangle this is based off of its size. We see here that there is no 3 sides together that are the same or congruent. So we know that this is a scalene triangle. Now let's look at the angles. 51 degrees, 54 degrees, and 75 degrees. All of these are less than 90. So it is an acute. This is a scalene acute triangle. Let's try one more. Here we can see that all 3 sides are congruent, which means it is an equilateral. Also, we see that all 3 angles are less than 90 degrees, which means they are acute. This is an equilateral acute triangle. Try this one on your own. Pause the video when we are ready for your answers. This is an isosceles acute triangle. There are 2 congruent sides and one angle. All 3 angles are less than 90 degrees. We can also classify triangles without even seeing them, just by looking at the measurements. Here, we see that the sides are 3.5 centimeters, 6.2 centimeters, and 3.5 centimeters. We also see that the angles are 27 degrees, 126 degrees, and 27 degrees. Based off this information, we see that 2 of the sides are congruent. That makes this an isosceles triangle. We also see that one angle is bigger than 90 degrees, which means it is obtuse. This is an isosceles obtuse angle. Try this one on your own. Make sure you look at the sides, determine if they're congruent, and then look at the angles to determine if they are greater than 90 degrees. This is a scalene obtuse angle. No congruent sides and one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. Okay, go ahead and get started on your bookwork.